This is Andy Parole for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm joined by super lightweight, I shouldn't say contender, really should say mandatory challenger, Jack Catterall. Jack, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Just finished a little good session in the gym today, but all good, can't complain.
That's good to hear. Obviously, I've just mentioned that you are the WBO mandatory challenger. You'll be waiting for the Ramirez Postal winner. Let's just start off there. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Do kind of lean towards Ramirez in that fight. I mean, it's interesting. We've seen Postal in some good, tough fights. He's shown how tough and durable he can be. So it'd be an interesting fight, and obviously it's in my interest now to study both of the fighters, watch them both break them both down. But ultimately, it's a waiting game for me. Once that fight's done, I can eyes on the winner, and I can start preparing for it.
You've been number one contender for a while with WBO. Obviously, originally Morisuka was world champion. He fought Ramirez and lost. Who would you have, say if Ramirez was to beat Postal as well, who would you have rather fought, Morisuka or Jose Ramirez?
Definitely Ramirez. I think his style suits my style better. We all know styles make fights. I've had a lot of tall fighters in the past. We was obviously preparing for Morisuka, big 6 foot, long arms. I don't think it'd have been stylistically, although I'd be confident in beating him. I think that fight would be not as pleasing to watch as the Ramirez fight would be. Ramirez and Postal again. Postal looks a lot rangier. He kind of uses his distance a bit better, where Ramirez is a come-forward fighter. You don't really see him take too much of a backward step, which is perfect for me. So out of the three, you've got to say Ramirez.
Now, obviously, whilst you wait for the Ramirez-Postal fight to happen and to conclude, you're going to look to get out yourself. What type of challenge are you going to try and set yourself with regards to an opponent? It's got to be, you're kind of in limbo, really, with regards to who you can fight. I'm sure you don't want to go and fight somebody who is going to give you absolute hell, but you don't want to fight somebody who's going to be a walkover. It's about trying to find that balance of a tough enough opponent, but then not someone who's going to look to take your head off, basically.
Definitely, it's been a frustrating year. I've had the one fight this year through no fault of my own. I'm in a great position, as we know, mandatory for the title. So, like you said, I'm in a position now where all I want to do is fight all these top boys, all the top 10 in the division. I want to start fighting them all, but it's a difficult one now. What do you do? Do you fight a level down and lower yourself to the level? Don't put a good performance in. Or do you think, you know what? We'll get a good fight, and I'm not daft. There's always the opportunity of losing, and then you lose the opportunity of fighting for the world title. So it's a difficult one. I've been in the gym, maintaining a good level of fitness, working on the boxing skills. So I'm just going to take the advice off Jamie, my managers, and see where it goes from there.
When can you see yourself getting back out?
I could be ready to go in 6-8 weeks. I've been training, I've been sparring, so hopefully not too long. And early November they're looking at possibly. So I mean, I'd like to fight around a similar time as Postal Ramirez. God willing, they come through their fight safe. We can get that on straight away in the new year.
Now, sticking with super lightweight, the World Boxing Super Series final between Josh Taylor and Regis Prograis has been set for October 26th. Keeping a close eye on that one, I know, Jack. What are your thoughts on that bout there?
Yeah, brilliant fight. It's a great fight, obviously. We're at the final stage now, so not long we'll see who's cleaned up in the tournament. I keep changing my mind, really. I do think these Prograis look stronger. Yeah, obviously he's got a brilliant boxing ability. In Josh's last fight, we've seen him get dragged in a few times into a bit of a scrap. Will he be able to do that with Prograis? Does he just stick to his boxing and outbox him? There's loads of ifs and buts, but ultimately I'll be going down there watching, and hopefully in the next year, 18 months, once I get my shot at the world title, these are all the fights then that hopefully present themselves.
I do want to try and push you for an opinion on who will win. Which way do you see the fight going?
I'm going to go for Taylor. I do think he's been at a higher level, boxed at a high level through the amateurs. Saying that, I don't know where Prograis was an amateur. I just think he's boxed at a high level. He's come across a lot of styles. If he doesn't get dragged into a dogfight and sticks to his boxing, I do have to go with Taylor.
Now, I've spoken to Nigel about it, and I will speak to Jamie about it as well. with regards to yourself and Josh, say if you was to defeat Jose Ramirez, you'll hold 2 other belts. If Josh was to beat Regis Prograis, he'll hold 2 other belts. A unification bout between yourselves. How big do you think that would be for British boxing?
Oh, it'd be massive. I'm under no illusion that ultimately that's how it could play out. Right now, I'm trying to wait for the fight date to be announced, and obviously I've got to win my world title. But down the line in the next 12 months, for all 4 belts, how big would that be? It'd be massive.
And the guy who is leading you is Jamie Moore alongside Nigel Travis. I don't know which way you want me to put it, and I know that both of them are like hanging around, so I don't want to offend. But how have you found the link up with those guys since you've come up to Manchester?
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
I shouldn't say come up to Manchester, but you've obviously joined up with those.
Yeah, I'd be coming up almost 2 years, I think, or a year and a half. But we're flying. It's been brilliant. Had some good fights. I'm in a position now where Jamie and Nigel are working together, and we're just ready to push on now and get some big fights.
When you work with the likes of Carl Frampton, Rocky Fielding, Martin Murray, who've all competed at world level or held world titles, how much of a significance can that be for yourself and your own progression? How much do you take away from watching those guys in the gym?
It's massive because when you get to see firsthand how they're preparing mentally, physically for the world title fights, what they have to put the bodies through, from even outside the gym, all the commitments they have outside the ring, and you get to see what it kind of takes to reach that level. And we're fortunate enough to be training in the gym alongside them and picking up things and watching and being at the shows, being at the fights, and we can add it to our arsenal. So we've kind of experienced it from a different angle in the past for when we get there.
Now, a couple of things I just want to quickly touch on with yourself. At this moment in time, we are seeing the Joshua Ruiz World Media Tour. Firstly, what are your thoughts on it taking place out in Saudi Arabia?
How long's the flight to Saudi Arabia? I'd like to go to it, but you know what, I've not really got a massive opinion on it. I know a lot of people have. I'm just excited to see the fight. I think Joshua's got to win this fight. It's a difficult roll back if he doesn't win, but I struggle to see how he does things different in such a short space of time from the first fight, and be interesting to see what he's changed since the first fight.
And we've also seen a recent announcement that KSI versus Logan Paul will be promoted by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. What are your thoughts with regards to a mainstream promoter deciding to take on that bout now?
You know what, it's business. It's going to line their pockets. That's what they've got to do. Do you know what I mean? For the sport, I don't think it's a good look for the sport. You know what, on the flip side of that, you get a lot of kids these days, they're all streaming, they're all on YouTube, so it is going to make some kind of noise. But I think for the fighters that have been involved in the sports, who can fight, who've probably not got a following, who struggle to get opportunities, and you get 2 YouTubers having a fight for millions of pounds, I think it's a bit of a joke, but I mean, it's not for me to judge.
And finally, Jamie Moore, Nigel Travis, my question to everybody I'm going to interview today. Firstly, who's funnier?
Depends in what context. I mean, we're laughing with them and we're laughing at them.
Let's go laughing at them.
Got to be laughing at Nigel, definitely.
Were you laughing with Jamie?
We're laughing with Jamie, we're laughing at Nigel.
Nigel says that when they sparred as amateurs, he had the better of Jamie. What's your take on that?
You know what? I know that there's some DVDs buried somewhere. I'm just waiting for the evidence to be pulled out, and then I'll make my mind up.
And finally, Peaky Blinders. Are you a fan, Jack?
I've not watched it yet. I've been recommended a few times, so maybe once I've finished what I'm watching at the moment, I'll start it.
What are you on at the minute?
Money Heist.
Well, Jack Catterall, I appreciate your time. I know I've kept you for a bit longer than you wanted, and you've hung around for me.
No, thank you for coming down to the gym. I appreciate it.
Well, Jack Catterall, thanks for speaking to myself and Boxing Social.
Thank you very much.